Good morning, everyone. Again, I'm recording later in the day. I just had to turn my air conditioner off because it was making too much noise. So let's see if I can get this recorded before it starts getting hot in here. We got another storm coming in, so there's not a lot of people in the park right now, which is good. I think I only see one fisherman, and he fishes for free. There's a few that do. All right, so for the message today, I've titled it, God Hates Waste. But in reality, God doesn't hate anything. But the world that He created is designed to work in harmony. He's designed everything to just flow into place. And if we get off track, we get out of that harmony. Now, this isn't the, mountaintop guru harmony type stuff. God has a perfect plan for everybody's life. Perfect. Doing the things that He knows you will enjoy doing. You go, I don't want to give up my life to worship God and be part of Him because I'm not going to like what I'm doing. He knows you better than you do. He knows you will like it. Now, you may not initially like it because you're part of the world. But once you become part of God's kingdom, He knows you'll like it. Like James says, you're not going to get to heaven by your works, but if there's true belief and faith in Jesus in you, and the Spirit in you, you will do works. We're all supposed to do works. We put some people up on pedestals and call them preachers and pastors and stuff, but for the most part, every one of us has an obligation to teach, to be an example, to be a witness. We don't all have the same gifts. When we're talking about gifts, we're talking about whether you can preach or whatever, or teach. But we all are witnesses. We can tell people about how God has helped us in our own lives. So, God hates waste is a metaphor that is not designed around that. We've got this new organization set up by Trump called DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, I think is what it stands for. Elon Musk was heading it up. But he's not individually going around and auditing everybody. He's just putting the teams together to go in and do this. And the people that are coming in there to do this, they're not coming in, they're not foreign terrorists coming in and working in and we're letting them see our secret information. That would be stupid. That's something the government would do. But what's happening here is he's bringing in qualified people who know how to spot fraud and waste. And they're finding it all over the place. And if they clean it up and we get our country back on track, it'll be a better place for everybody until the Antichrist gets in. Now, the rest of the world is going Muslim. All these countries over there are going Muslim. Israel is basically surrounded by Muslim countries all around them. And it goes all the way over to the UK now, who's turning Muslim. Sweden, other countries, Muslim. They're all turning Muslim. This is Satan's religion, and he will take over the world until he's stopped by God. This is his job to provide an alternative. And his lies sound better than God's truth, but they're lies. They're lies because they say you don't have to change. You just keep doing what you're doing and you can be part of my kingdom. God says you do have to change because you have a worldly nature. You can't be of the world and of heaven. But as a Christian, I don't want to be part of the world. I have to live in it now. But this isn't our home. So, DOGE is cutting government spending, cutting government waste, and fraud. Tremendous amount of fraud. These people who got into power and put all their own people in, they're still impacting what's going on. Their liberal appointed judges are still blocking the president, and they don't have the legal right to do so. And I am surprised that Trump isn't just saying, we're just going to ignore you because you don't have the legal right. Force them to go to court. He's doing it the other way around. He's letting the courts come to them and tell them to stop it. He should be in there saying, our legal counsel says you don't have the right to do that and say that, but they're getting by on technicalities. Send the plane back that you're sending aliens back to their countries with. And you go, well, sorry, you didn't get the message to us. It's in international water. We can't tell it to come back. Technicalities. They ought to just be able to stand up to them and say, no, you don't have the authority to do what you're doing. And they don't. I don't know why they're playing into that. So, Jesus spoke about waste after he fed 5,000 people. Just imagine all these 5,000 Happy Meals out there and all the paper and all the other trash. No. Bread and fish, feeding 5,000 with what a boy had on him. Turn with me to John 6:12. When they had enough to eat, he said to his disciples, gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted. Now, back then, everybody shared everything. It's sometimes, when I was in Nevada, there were restaurants when I was traveling with my dad because he was mining. He was running a mining company in Nevada. And I travel with him, and we go eat at some of these restaurants like at Winnemucca, Nevada, or Elko, Nevada. And these would be Basque restaurants. Basque? I don't remember how they pronounced it. But this was family style. They would put a tureen of soup down, and you would just put your bowl over there and ladle in your soup. Same with a salad. Same with a master plate that might have steaks or fish or whatever. It was just all put out there, and you sat around, and if you didn't know the people with you, then you get a chance to get acquainted. Because if you go in with just the two of us, we'd be sitting at a table with a dozen people at it. So you get to know him. He was a better people person than I was at the time, because I was pretty shy. But nowadays, I could take my son to that, and he'd be shy, and I'd be fine with it. But you just sit around the community table and eat. So they did the same thing. They don't just go up and take a bite out of the bread. They would peel off a piece of bread, put the main piece back, and then they'd eat this. So there's no double dipping type worried about that kind of stuff. That's where I was going with that. Ephesians 5:16, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is. So don't waste the time. People's lives are at stake. Don't waste your time. Now, sometimes people are workaholics and they have to stop and rest. And Psalm 23 says, you make us to lie down in green pastures. Make us to lie down. So sometimes we need to be forced to rest. Sometimes getting sick is the only way we get rest. Hopefully it's not too bad, just enough to get us off from work and stay home. Proverbs 18:9, whoever is slack in his work is a brother to him who destroys. If you're not working and you're getting paid for it, it's costing the company just as much as if you were destroying the manufacturing process or whatever you were doing. Proverbs 12:27, whoever is slothful will not roast his game, but the diligent man will get precious wealth. So if you can't take the time to go out and hunt, these people a lot of them were hunter-gatherers because they lived out in rural areas. I live in a rural area now, and barring the weather, people come in here and they fish in the park, but then the surrounding areas, they can hunt during hunting season. We're still in turkey hunting season. Got a lot of turkeys in the park. They know better than to wander off. So you don't want to waste material things. You don't want to waste time. Proverbs 6:9. How long will you lie there, O sluggard? A lot of this generation just wants to lie around and let the government feed them, take care of them. They don't want to have to work. The work ethic is gone in this world out there now. And the government, through COVID, was part of that. They deliberately made people stay home and paid them to do that, to teach them what it's like to just be a slave. You don't have to do anything until you get to the point where you're hungry, and then we'll make you go to work. They hadn't gotten that far yet. They were just teaching them how to just not do anything. How long will you lie there, O sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. We have work to do. Most of us have to do 2 jobs. One job to make money so you can live. The second job you can do concurrent with it in most cases. Now, you can't go preaching and handing out tracts at a lot of places where you work, but you can just plain smile a lot. You can be happy. Got to work an extra 10 hours this week? Be happy about it. It's extra money. God's providing. You don't know what the need is coming up, but He's given you the money in advance so you don't have to worry about it. If that's the case, what's coming up? God has a perfect plan. So whatever's going on, good or bad in appearance, it's God's will for your life if you're following Him properly. If you're living in sin, Christian or not, then you're going to get what's coming along. The pitfalls will be there. God won't direct you around them. You're just going to go right through them. A little minefield coming up. Whether it's the sick people that you're going to encounter and get sick, or you're driving along and some idiot hits you because they didn't see you, because they weren't paying attention. One guy today was saying he had a problem with this one guy. He thought he was just trying to shove him off the road, but he finally pulled alongside, and he's driving, and he's looking at his phone. So he was thinking that it was deliberate, but it's not deliberate. He's just a bad driver. That's why you're not supposed to hold your phone. Put it in a cradle. You can get those. They attach just about any place you want to put them. You can still use your phone while you're driving reasonably. You wouldn't take your eyes off the road and stare down and just start pushing buttons on the radio either. You do this type of thing. I'd learned in flying, I don't fly anymore, but when I did, I learned to scan. You look out the window. Now, in a plane, you're looking side to side and in the front to make sure everything's okay. You're also looking up and down to make sure it's a big sky up there, and there can be planes all over the place in heavily transferred areas where they, like I used to fly next to LAX, Los Angeles Airport. There was a little airport next to it called Hawthorne, and I'd practice flying there. I'd do touch and goes and things, and it was so close to LAX. You've got patterns that you fly. The runway being here, and you take off, and you can cut across and come up and come back around and then land if you wanted to just stay in the airport area. They didn't have it on this side because LAX was right here. And I'd be coming into land sometimes. I'm looking over and there's a 747 coming in the main runway there. And they're big, especially when you're in a little itty bitty plane and you look over and you see this big monster plane coming in. And they seem like they're real close. They're far enough away that there's never a problem. but it just seems like they're close. All right. You've got 2 jobs to do. Feed your family, whether you're the breadwinner or the housewife at home, or reverse or whatever, however that works. Both of them are jobs. You've got to do those jobs, but you need to take breaks from those jobs. Problem is with the homemaker is that's a 7-day-a-week job, so you've got to basically, on the weekend, the man should take over, or the other spouse should take over to give you a weekend off. Send the kids to camp. This is summer coming up. Ours, we got them in scouting, but we went camping with them, so we never got a break. We took my oldest at one point in time, and he went off on the summer camp where all the scouts went up, and they went to a big site, and they'd invite the parents up on parent weekend to come up and see him. And we pull up and we get out, and we're looking around for my oldest, and of course he's, I don't know, 14, 15. Looking for him, we finally find him. We walk towards him. He walks right in front of us, glances up. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Keeps right on walking. He didn't need us. That was heartbreaking. But that's good. He's self-sufficient. He lives with his wife out in California, and they're doing fine. So you just hope that they stay on the right path their whole life. But we've got to do our second job now. Technically, our second job of working for the Lord is more important than our first job of feeding the family. But God will let us focus on feeding the family first so that we don't have to worry about that. As long as you take the time to take care of him. We used to go to church. Well, we go Sunday, obviously, both services. We would go on Wednesday night, Friday night, and Sunday. Sometimes there'd be a special event that there may be another day in there, but as a regular basis we did that. My wife worked in the front office for the one church we went to. People run churches. You don't want to know how they make sausage. It tastes good. The outcome is great, but you don't want to see it made. Sometimes you don't want to see behind the scenes at churches. They're still human. So pray for all your church leaders, including your pastor. All right. That's all I have for this one right now. God doesn't hate anything. And we're really not getting the wrath of God, even though it's called the wrath of God. Same thing. He sets up a path that if you're not part of his kingdom, it's a rocky road. And there's pitfalls and explosions and bombs and all kinds of stuff. I'm being metaphoric here, but there's all kinds of problems. And if you choose not to walk with him, you're going to walk that path. It's going to seem like the wrath of God. People say, how can God be all loving when all this is going on in the world? The world has made it happen. God didn't make it happen. The world's making it happen. The only escape from it is to be part of God's kingdom. God provided a way out of what's going on in the world. But he didn't promise that this world is being run by the king of the world, Satan. He's got limits. And he's the alternative. Choose wisely. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless.